It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Welcome to County-Wide. I'm Paul David. Good to have you in studio with us today. Brian Klimowski with the National Weather Service in Belmont is in studio today. Welcome, Brian.
Good to be here, Paul.
We got you here. The federal government shutdown's over and you made it in. I'm so glad you were here. We've been wanting to get Brian in to talk about the past monsoon and the approaching winter, and you were here to do that today.
All right. What can I do for you?
Let's go back first. Let's go back in time with the monsoon season. Actually, let's go just before it started. It was dry as could be early this year. Right. January, February, I think we may have a little bit of snow in February and a little bit of rain in February, but then March and April and May were just really dry. Forests got closed. And then we started talking to you about monsoon season. So monsoon was quite a dandy this year.
It really was. And what a contrast from June, where we had record high temperatures and some warmth, which we hadn't seen in years, to what turned out to be one of the wettest monsoons on record.
I had forgotten how hot June was. June did have some really extreme temperatures.
You know, we had 96 here in Flagstaff, over in California, Death Valley, I think 132, so very warm.
And then does that help bring the monsoon in? Those super hot temperatures like that?
You know, it may, because the monsoon is formed from low pressure that forms over the Four Corners area in general, and then starts to change the wind directions to move from what was the southwest to the south or southeast. And the formation of that surface low, which can be helped by the very high temperatures we had, could prompt that as well.
Now, did you guys see this monsoon coming in as being a big one, that it was going to be a really wet monsoon? Are you able to predict the amount of moisture that's going to, outside of your daily precipitation that you guys predict, can you look in June and say, wow, this monsoon's going to be a real big one, it's going to bring us a lot of rain, or is that not possible?
You know, we really can't do that. We might have indications whether it's going to start early or start later, but just how intense it's going to be and whether we're going to have any significant breaks within the monsoon is something we just can't see yet.
So how intense was it?
It was intense. Most locations in northern Arizona saw well over their normal amounts, at least 150% of normal. Some locations almost 200% of normal. Here in the Verde Valley, we had about 8 inches of rain, 12 inches up in Jerome, up in Flagstaff, almost 16 inches of rain through the monsoon.
And that's a lot.
That's a lot.
We broke some records.
We sure did. Well, and we came very close to breaking some records.
Right.
In Flagstaff in July, we came within 1/100th of an inch of breaking our all-time wettest July. So.
And then we actually had an early snow too.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I don't think that broke any records though.
And no, it didn't.
It did not, okay. Now in monsoon season, we did have some events that took place throughout the state as far as devastating effects of the monsoon. What were some of those? Oh
boy, Ash Fork saw nearly 5 inches of rain in one event. We had Indian Gardens, the Grand Canyon, have a significant flood. East side of Flagstaff saw some flooding they haven't seen for 20 or 30 years. And then, of course, in Page, Arizona, a massive flood there on August 2nd. So.
Now, I think we got lucky this year that the wildfire burn areas didn't seem to get hammered too hard. I know Yarnell had one incident where they had some flooding go in. But other than that, I think the burn area is kind of Schultz burn area. Did you hear about anything up in the Schultz burn area?
We did have a couple events up there, but because we're 3 years past that burn, the response isn't nearly as bad as it used to be when it rains on that burn area.
But I didn't hear about any really serious damage from the Yavapai Emergency Services or from the Weather Service as far as the Yarnell Hill fire or the Dosey fire.
That's right.
Which was good news.
We did get some movement on the Gladiator fire from an event, but again, it's a little bit of a subdued response because we're a couple years past that burn as well.
What was the wettest area for the monsoon this year?
That would have been the eastern rim. McNary came in with almost 17 inches of rain. No, strike that. Up on the San Francisco peaks, we have a gauge that recorded almost 22 inches.
No kidding.
Yeah.
22 inches. Wow, that is a lot of water.
Almost 2 feet of rain.
Okay, so tell me this now. We've been talking about drought. And I don't think we can ever catch up. I'm not sure how to actually discuss the drought. When I do the news and talk to the folks that are listening, the drought is it because I hear people say, you can't say we're in a drought. We got 17 inches of rain this year. How could we possibly be in a drought anymore? Is it possible to catch up on a drought and then we can just put the word drought away, or is this... Explain that to me, drought.
Drought. Long-term or short-term might be the best way to parse this.
Okay.
We have relieved a great deal of the short-term drought from the heavy monsoon rains that we had. That means the stock ponds were filled. We saw the streams running this winter, but the long-term drought might not have been relieved that much. That is, are the larger reservoirs, filled up? Do we see Glen Canyon full of water?
So is that long-term drought? We're looking at, like, say, Roosevelt Lake, Lake Powell,
Yeah.
Lake Mead. These lakes are, I think some of them are below 50% right now.
Yeah,
so if we see these hit 100%, I know Lake Powell hit 100% the year I got married, because we were actually at Lake Powell honeymooning and had kept moving our camp back because the lake was literally coming up a foot to 2 a day. So that's what measures our long-term drought, when we see these reservoirs start to fill back up again?
Reservoirs is
part of it?
Is one indicator.
Okay.
Of course, the reservoir depth is only a function of the supply and demand. How much is pulled out. But yes, that's a good indicator. And right now, most of the reservoirs are low.
So our monsoon was a win-win for everybody.
It was. Southern Yavapai County was shorted a little bit. There were parts around Prescott that actually had below normal amounts, and in Southern Yavapai County, they didn't see the rain that a lot of us did.
Anything we can attribute to that? Just that's a typical monsoon hit and miss?
Luck of the draw, hit and miss.
Yeah, because the monsoon is kind of a hit and miss thing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we're talking about small thunderstorms that move around a lot, and if you get a lot of them, most people normally get hit.
Well, they were spectacular this year, and they were loud this year. They were really speaking loudly this year. I remember the house shaking numerous times, Let's take a little break, and we'll come back and talk winter. And then we also have your Halloween forecast as well, so we'll bring that up since that's just a couple days away here, okay? Brian Klimowski with the National Weather Service is in studio today. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning. 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash? 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
There's no place like home.
Getting home safely is just a click away. But making sure your child is in the right seat is just one of the steps down the road to safer travels.
I don't know how it works.
Find the right seat for your little one's age and size.
We saw what you told us.
There's no better way to get home safely. Know for sure that your child is in the right seat. Get all the facts at safercar.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Countywide. Brian Klimowski with the National Weather Service in Belmont is in studio today. It's good to have you along. We talked about monsoon. It was a big one. It was a big one. Now winter is, I want to say winter is here. It seems much colder than it was this time last year. I mean, we usually write down the high and low from each day, and just to kind of keep track. And so, to like today, I've got last year's high, which I can't recall what it is now, but last week or the week before that, there was a couple of days where the high in Cottonwood was supposed to be in the mid-70s, but a year ago on that day it was 91 degrees. So I'm looking at that going, wow, that's quite a change. And then I remember I talked to you recently, and you said there's no La Nina or El Nino. And I thought, okay, what does that mean? So maybe real quick, what is La Nina and El Nino to refresh my memory and people listening as well?
Real quick, we're talking about the temperatures of the equatorial Pacific, okay? How warm, how cold is the Pacific Ocean? If it's warmer than normal, it's El Nino. If it's colder than normal, La Nina. And that helps determine where the storm track might be for that given winter.
Okay, now when our monsoon is underway, our storms come from which direction?
Boy, during the monsoon, most any direction.
Oh, really?
Normally, they form over the mountains and spill off into the valleys.
Okay.
So.
There's that trough. I keep seeing this circular sort of diagram over the state that comes like out of Mexico and then up around the state and then kind of curls around into Flagstaff.
Yeah, I mean, in general, the low-level airflow is from the south or southeast, but the storms, depending on the upper-level airflow, can go almost any direction.
Okay, in the wintertime?
Wintertime is very different. Yeah.
Okay, tell me about the wintertime. What are we looking for in the wintertime here?
Wintertime, our biggest storms characterized by strong southwesterly flow. These storms that come off the Pacific with a bunch of moisture and just slam into our mountains, wrings out the rain and snow over the high terrain. Downstream, rain shadow effect, much less.
Okay, because I hear about these storms coming out of the Pacific Northwest, and I'm picturing that's our winter track. See, that's what I've been always thinking. I've been thinking, okay, our monsoon comes out of the Baja and Mexico and kind of sweeps up along between Arizona and New Mexico and slides and kind of curly cues over real nice into the state. And then in the wintertime, I picture these brutally cold storms coming down from like Washington and Oregon, just blowing through here.
Yeah, those storms that come down from Washington and Oregon really aren't the big snow producers. They can be the cold producers, like the one we have today. This storm came right down the coast from Washington, didn't have a lot of moisture, couldn't tap all that rich Pacific moisture that a storm coming from Hawaii might.
Okay, so the ones that come off the Pacific, Hawaii and California, those are the big winter.
Tend to be the wet ones, yeah.
Okay. All right, so what are we in store for? Look ahead.
We're in store for winter.
I know,
Okay.
but it seems to me, tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like this fall, I mean, summer shut off like that to me.
Yeah.
It literally is typical to me in Arizona. It seems like the seasons really do that. It's like a light switch out there where you flick the switch and, okay, that's into summer, boom, here comes fall, and let's fire up fall. And then just a couple weeks into fall, we had, you said it may have been hail, or snow or hail up on the San Francisco peaks on the September 27th. And then we've had snow since then again.
Yeah.
And that to me just seems, for September and early October, seems early.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not that early, is it?
We normally get our first snow up in the high country, in November. So yeah, it was early, especially that storm that came a couple weeks ago. Where some of the high country got up to 5 inches of snow, but things are on track for what looks like it's going to be a pretty normal winter.
What does that mean?
What does it mean? I mean, what is normal in a place that sees such great variability? What it means is we don't see any signals right now that it's going to be a heavy winter. For instance, there's no El Nino signal. There's no other patterns we recognize that would indicate, we're going to see a lot of storms and they might be really wet. So right now, we're just kind of taking a very cautious approach and saying, well, right now it looks like if we have an average range, we're probably going to fall someplace within that average range right now. At least that's what we can look at right now.
What's average for the winter as far as precip goes?
Flagstaff, 100 inches of snow.
And that's average.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, it does. 8 feet,
But stretched out over the winter.
Stretched out between November, through April normally. And it normally comes in a couple big storms and a lot of small ones. And then you kind of wake up in March and you think, wow, I can't believe we've had 7 feet of snow. Because, also we're at such a low latitude. So when the snow falls, sun comes out, it melts, and the impacts sometimes aren't that great. We can get some significant snows, but they don't, harm us that much.
Was it 2010 we had all the big snow?
That it was.
Was 2010 that I remember seeing 6 foot snow berms on both sides of the
You got it. Yeah, January 2010.
What was happening that year that was going to be so much different from this year?
Boy, you know, that was a monstrous storm that formed over the Pacific and came over our area and then just didn't move. I mean, we had this extremely strong fetch, a very cold, very moist air, something which was basically unseen. You know, we hadn't seen anything like this before, and just held over us for about 3 days. Yeah, it was remarkable.
Okay, all right. Let's take another break.
Okay.
We'll take another break and we'll come back, okay? Brian Klimowski with the National Weather Service in Belmont is in studio today. I'm Paul David. We'll take a quick break, and Countywide will be right back.
He found his body in an apartment in Telford.
I never thought my son would take prescription drugs without a prescription.
Secure your medications and talk with your kids. Visit drugfree.org.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it, I see it! Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
I would steal pills from my friend's mom.
We talk about all the common drugs, but never prescription medication.
I was addicted to pills.
Had I more knowledge, I would have done things differently.
Secure your medications and talk with your kids. Visit drugfree.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Brian Klimowski from the National Weather Service in Belmont in studio today. We've talked a little bit about the past monsoon and now the, I want to say approaching winter, but to me it feels like winter's here. Yeah. Why is it, again, this winter is so much colder than last winter seemed to be? And it's not even winter yet, but this fall seems so much colder than last year's fall, by 20 degrees or more sometimes.
Yeah, it's been a bit chilly this fall, indeed. Last year, we had a big ridge over us at this time, very warm temperatures, almost record warm temperatures. But it's been chilly. Our falls are characterized by very large temperature swings, you know, just like we had over the past couple days with these strong fronts coming through. And they sweep through. It's been cold for a couple days, then it'll warm back up to near normal, like it's going to be this week. Mm-hmm. So one fall to the next, we can see wild differences here in Arizona.
Let's talk about some safety issues. We had ADODium, but I don't think we can talk about it enough because we do have to bring this up on a regular basis. Yeah. But there are some safety concerns in the wintertime especially that we need to take into consideration when we've got these storms coming along. Let's ask this first. The first thing is, what's the best way to find out, you know, when the big storms are coming outside of listening to us on the radio?
Yeah, local media, National Weather Service website. Find your trusted source of weather information and then go to that. Find out what's going to happen so you don't put yourself in the way of danger.
I was telling you that a gentleman had called me back when you released the rainfall totals you have right there for the monsoon, and he was curious as to what cottonwoods was. Yeah. And it just happened to be that day I had talked with somebody, I think it was Rob Rickey at the Weather Service, because you guys had put that on the front page of the Flagstaff NOAA weather page. And so I was, of course, getting those numbers because it was pretty impressive numbers. But he was so grateful that I turned him onto your website. Okay. And so it's wrh.noaa.gov/FGZ. Is there a faster way to get there?
There is.
Okay.
Just go to weather.gov, hit return, and then click over Northern Arizona. That might be the easiest way. So weather.gov will get you there.
Weather.gov, okay. But he was trying to find Cottonwood rainfall totals, and I think you've got it right there. Cottonwood Tuesday was 8 inches and stuff like that, so that was really helpful for him. These winter storms that come in, fast-moving, slow-moving, what would be best situation for us through the winter months?
You know, as far as safety goes, number one, find out the weather, which is going to happen. What are you going to be putting yourself into? If it's going to be bad in the high country, just don't go. You know, save yourself the trouble. But if you have to travel, just make sure you're prepared with a good winter survival kit.
I think ADOT and DPS have been pushing that a lot lately. And I've noticed over the last, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years now, anytime we get a big storm that's moving in, it's funny because you put the information out about the storm, and we'll get emails from ADOT and we'll get emails from DPS that all say the same thing. National Weather Service is predicting this major storm, 12 inches or more snow is expected. And it seems lately, over the last several years now, you see the interstates starting to close a little more frequently. And so that's been kind of interesting over the years. And I guess DPS and ADOT say it's just, it's far more easy to deal with the traffic prior to it getting into the storm and getting stuck, as opposed to letting it all get stuck and then trying to get it unstuck. Halloween is coming up in just a couple days on the 31st of October. What do we got in store for Halloween for all our goblins and ghouls that'll be going around?
We're going to have wonderful weather for Halloween. It's going to be chilly, but fair weather, chilly nights depending on where you are. The winds ought to be pretty light as well, so it ought to be a great time to get out and enjoy your Halloween.
So this storm that's coming through right now, it's not supposed to produce a whole lot?
No, you know, we're going to see some scattered showers like it was raining up in Flagstaff when I was coming down this morning. Scattered showers today, maybe a little bit overnight tonight, maybe some snow above 6,000 feet actually, but it ought to sweep out late tomorrow, and Thursday, Halloween will be beautiful.
I think it shows us warming back up by the end of the week and then cooling back off by the weekend with something else coming in early next week.
Another trough coming in this weekend that ought to cool us down again, bring the winds up, pretty typical for this time of year.
All right, Brian Klimowski, good to see you.
Paul, good to see you again.
Thanks for coming in.
That's
Days to Countywide. I'm Paul David. We will talk to you again next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.